Hello and welcome to my review for Mary Magdalene, directed by Garth Davis and starring Rooney Mara, Joaquin Phoenix and Chiwetel Ejiofor, to name just a few. Garth Davis is an Australian director whose previous film Lion I was a huge fan of. It was nominated for a few Oscars I think last year, which is why I watched it. Amazing film, so emotional, and an amazing true story. So I was intrigued to see what film he'd do next. And Rooney Mara is one of my favourite actresses. I just follow her in anything she does. There's just something about her that draws me into everything she does. Not everything she does is great. You look at someone like Pan, you know, but I'm always intrigued by the films that she chooses to do for some reason. And I like Joaquin Phoenix as well. Yes, if you caught that, I was pulling your leg there. Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix is a really intriguing actor. I really like his work a lot in the very different roles I've seen him in. Probably my favourite would be Her, which I believe actually Rooney Mara played his ex-girlfriend in that film, or ex-wife. Anyway, Mary Magdalene is a biblical story, and I need to get into, I guess, my viewpoint on that, not to kind of go into my I guess you'd call it atheism, but it's not something I would label myself with. It's nothing I practice as, yes, I do not believe. It's just I don't have any beliefs, and that's it. I don't really think about it too much. And I have many friends who are Christian and have those beliefs and so on. But that doesn't mean that I don't, watch biblical movies. But they are films I don't seek out. They are films I don't actively want to go and see, because it's not stories I'm familiar with. I haven't read the Bible. I don't know much about it. I don't have investment in it, And so with this, it was like, well, I'll go see it. And that's all part and parcel of me trying to do more reviews of new films this year in 2018, to push myself beyond my comfort zone a little bit. It helped that it had actors that I recognize and a director that I'm interested in seeing what he does. So, it wasn't a complete, like I was going to see some kind of, biblical epic that had no one that I knew in it or anything like that. But still, I felt like I was proud of myself for going to see it, because it was like, okay, I'm going to give this film a chance. I don't know the story of Mary Magdalene. I believe that she was a follower of Jesus Christ. That was all I really knew. Turned out to be the case. And apparently this is kind of a revisionist story, because for many years, centuries even, I think, she was, wrongfully labeled as a prostitute, as someone who was insignificant to the story of Jesus Christ. And I think it was only a year or two ago that the Vatican kind of recognized her officially as the Apostle of the Apostles. She was one of Jesus Christ's apostles. And again, I know hardly anything about this stuff, so I could run, amok and just come out with all the wrong information. But I'm not going to dive into it too much, but it deals with the emergence of Jesus Christ as a Messiah, and the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, and the resurrection. Although part of it feels like it's taken a back seat, because it is told through the viewpoint and the perspective of Mary Magdalene. We follow her from where she lives in this small kind of fishing town, and her family, are going to marry her off, but she doesn't want to be married off. She wants to have her own life, and they literally think she has a demon inside her because she won't comply. And so they put her through the ringer. And this traveling kind of group comes through, led by this rabbi, Jesus of Nazareth, and she becomes kind of entranced. I can't find the word. I'll leave this one in for free. Entrapped? No, she's not entrapped. She becomes enchanted by his his speeches and his viewpoint on things, and she buys into what he's selling, basically. And he gives this kind of speech about God and the kingdom of God and things like that. So she decides to follow him and to become one of his followers with all the other men there. The men there don't really trust her because she's a woman coming in, but nevertheless that's the path she chooses to take. And so for the first 20 minutes I was really invested in this story of this woman breaking out of oppression and turning her back on her family, who she loved very much, but they wanted her to be this one thing. They wanted her to be a woman who would be used. They're saying, like, you will, provide children. That's your purpose. So she turns her back on that, and she goes to Jesus, and he kind of has her help him kind of open the eyes of women and stuff, and she ends up baptizing women. Again, I was really getting into it. But for the most part, this film, it just really middled out, and I just found myself not caring. And not in the sense that, oh, I don't care about the Bible. No, I was trying to get into the story, but something about it didn't grab me. There's phenomenal acting in the film at times, especially from Rooney Mara. She's always great, and you know, gives a lot of emotional responses here. Maybe too much, I think, because I feel like there's at least half a dozen shots of just Rooney Mara with kind of the robe draped around her head, kind of framing her face, and just as tears, you know, slowly falling down her cheeks as she stares off at some distant thing, and it becomes a little bit repetitive. But it didn't grab me. It didn't hit me in the gut, it didn't hit me in the throat, in the tear ducts. At no point did I feel moved by the film. And that wasn't, again, because I'm not a Christian. It's because I wasn't, I don't know if there was any progression there, but once Mary had made that choice to go off with Jesus and to follow him and go with the apostles, it wasn't as interesting. There wasn't any more progression. And Joaquin Phoenix, his performance was really up and down for me. He was really good at times, and there was really like something about him, like a charisma. And you could understand why the people are following him. But then at other times, I just really felt like I was watching someone acting, which is always a big no-no. For me, it just really rang hollow at times. I was like, ooh, he just sounds like he's reciting dialogue, and he's not meaning it or feeling it. And again, it's weird because I think some people, when they see a performance and there's like a bad line reading or a bad moment, they're like, oh, he was awful. No, he wasn't. It was just up and down, you know, and it was kind of frustrating because there were moments of brilliance in there, but then it just, you know, moments where I just didn't buy it, didn't believe it. Especially at the beginning, in fact, which isn't a good kind of start to his character in the film. I liked the relationship between Jesus and Mary, and also that my favourite part of the film is when he asks her, did you ever think when you were younger, something to this effect, did you ever think when you were younger, if you couldn't see something, that it didn't exist? And, you know, it's kind of this existential question, and instead of replying, she just pulls her kind of hood over her face, and then she pulls it back again, you know, and smiles, and he kind of smiles back. It's a really, like, beautiful little human moment that I thought was really, really nice. And the cinematography is stand out. It's all done mostly on location and looks gorgeous, stunning. You know, all those words you can throw at cinematography and landscapes that look great. And the score was great as well. I really liked the music towards the end. Was really emotional, but I just didn't feel like that rousing emotional score matched the things that were happening on screen. Again, you're seeing Jesus with the cross, and he's, you know, he's bleeding. He's got this stuff through his wrists, and it's, I don't know why I wasn't feeling for it, but the build up to it hadn't worked hand in hand with the payoff. So I didn't dislike the film. I didn't really like the film. I found things in it that I was impressed by, but I was mostly just disappointed that it didn't coalesce into what could have been a really great film, I felt like. There's a scene where Mary and one of the other apostles, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, they find this encampment of all these people who are, you know, they're absolutely just completely annihilated with famine. You know, their bones are like nothing. You know, there's nothing left, you know, no muscle or anything. And so Chiwetel Ejiofor is like, well, we'll leave them. You know, we got to, you know, but she wants to get water for them. She wants to care for them, and that's when he sees how compassionate she is. And yeah, in theory it was working, but I just wasn't getting moved by it, and I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it was just the day I watched it. I don't know. It felt strange that this film didn't move me, and yet I almost cried at Tomb Raider like 3 times. I don't know what that says about me or about the film, but if you're a Christian, if you're well versed in the Bible and those stories might be interesting to you. Maybe if you are, it might be like, oh, this isn't the story. I don't know. I really couldn't tell you because I don't know anything about these things. But for me, it was interesting to see a different perspective on the Jesus Christ story. I have seen it a few times done. And the crucifixion and so on isn't really focused on too much. It's there at the end, but it's really more about Mary, and I don't know, that it felt a bit plodding, you know. So overall, it was okay. Just really middle of the road, unfortunately. My favourite part was the first scene of the film, which is this gorgeous sequence where Mary is kind of floating underwater, and she has those kind of like, you know, the long kind of robes on, and they're kind of twirling around her, and she's kind of floating upside down. Absolutely gorgeous visual image. I was like, wow. And then nothing else really matched that, really. And it came back towards the end. But yeah, Mary Magdalene. Make up your own mind, I guess. I wouldn't rush out to see it, but again, if you're invested in the story and seeing a different twist on the Jesus Christ story, even though you don't really get a full picture of it and stuff, but yeah, it was what it was. A little bit disappointing, I have to say. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you.